What's going on, guys, and welcome back. In today's video we have PBKxRAMPAGE's account review. Now right before we begin, if you guys want an account review done, as I've stated before in many of these videos, what you need to do is join the Discord, which the description is below in the link, or if you leave a comment on the video I can send you an invite to the Discord. But you have to join the Discord first and either talk in chat of how you want an account review done, or if you're familiar with Discord, just give me a message and we can take care of that for you. Obviously you need to be either Google Play or Facebook if you want your account review done in this fashion, but that's pretty much all that you have to do. And I mean, if you guys haven't considered already, especially if you've been following the channel for a while, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. As always, it's free. There's weekly content at the very minimum, and let's go ahead and get this party started. Alright, Rampage, so I went ahead and just went to your account because obviously I'm nosy and I'm in your account, so why not? But there's a couple things I did want to point out to you. I'm sure you've done it for a reason, but I caught you slipping, man. I caught you slipping not once but twice. I'm sure there's more, but I didn't even bother to dive any further. But your Loki over here, he's on a Ruin set, alright? I understand that you want the additional crit damage from him being on Ruin, especially since he has Hunter and he is crit reliant. But I went over here, dude, and I was like, alright, he's sitting at 84% crit rate. I was like, wow, his HP is extremely low because his trinkets aren't the best, which is fine. Attack is dirt nasty low too. I was like, very sus. I clicked on this, saw this crit rate gem, and I was like, boys, we got him. So there's a crit rate gem right there. There's an attack gem, and there's no crit rate sub. Not a big deal, not the end of the world. Then there's another crit rate gem. 4-star crit rate gems, maxed out. You got some explaining to do, sir. You have some explaining to do. Maybe you don't use them at all, or maybe you plan to use them in the future, but this is the incorrect way to build them on. Obviously, you can build them on however you want. I've seen people have their Fire Cupid with an attack gem. It's up to you how you want to do it, but I honestly wouldn't do this because you're compromising so much just to have it on a Ruin set, dude. Like, his stats are just dirt nasty low. Even if he had maxed crit, with his attack only being like literally 5k and 90% crit damage added to it, that's not going to do anything, dude. Absolutely nothing. There's also your Dark Moonflower I wanted to bring up, which suffers from the same thing, so you know what you're doing. And she's fully booked up. You are totally aware of what you're doing, but once again, if you can't get max crit rate on Ruin, or even close to it, like I would say even 80% is pretty close enough, then, I mean, technically speaking, like 95% is close enough, but even at 80%, I would have cut you some slack. If you can't get max crit on Ruin though, slide over to Intuition for now, because the amount of damage that you're losing out on just to hit that additional crit damage, it's not the play of the game. Also, one more suggestion before we dive into the rest of the stuff. For your Light Yuki, she looks fine, but she's rocking an attack gem with some resist up there. She has another attack gem with some crit rate, and then she has a crit rate gem. No big deal at all. But my suggestion to you is perhaps you go ahead and drop one of these attack gems, the one that has no crit rate on it, and give her a crit damage gem, because you're already past the maximum crit rate threshold. And I think in theory she should do more damage. I didn't do damage calculations because you don't have like a max crit damage gem, which if you guys don't know, if you join the Discord, it's actually a lot of Discords. There's a bot, wasn't created by me, it's just been modified, where you can actually input data of your mon, where you're going to do like D, you're going to give the full attack stat, the full crit damage stat, and then the full crit rate stat, and you can figure out how much damage your mon can do with just the gems that you have, or if you swapped out sets, which is very useful for increasing your DPS. But that's my only suggestion for your Light Yuki, so let's go ahead and go to the next part of the video. Alright, so here we are at Colossus. You've already done the Colossus for today, so unfortunately I can't go in there and just pretend that we're addressing the Colossus that you wanted to address. But your biggest complaint though was just figuring out Water Colossus, because you could do all of the other Colossuses, Colossi or whatever. So my suggestion for that is basically the exact same team that I just stole from Odin's Son. So if you guys haven't checked out his YouTube account, definitely do check it out, because he has a lot of meaty information up there. it's not as cringy and as unentertaining as my stuff, and you'll really learn a lot. But what we're going to do here is trying to set up the team that he used in that fight, because I don't do Water Colossus. I could do it, but I'm nothing more than a casual. Nothing more than a casual. But for the team that he was rocking, obviously 2 rows, he was using Wood Seedler, which, let's see if you have a Wood Seedler. You do have a Wood Seedler, not fully built, but can be built. Actually, there's a Wood Seedler. So you would rock Wood Seedler. Then there was Wood Cherry. Do you have a Wood Cherry? So Wood Seedler, not fully maxed out, but that's fine. You can get someone else with a shield. Wood Seedler, someone else with a shield, and then Wood Hana, which I did see a Wood Hana over there. And then you can also use a Wood Persephone. Now, you don't have a Wood Persephone, I don't believe, but that's perfectly fine. You can actually throw in your Wet Artemis that you have in storage right here. Even though I understand it is Water Colossus, doesn't really matter, but she can be your sapper for that. So for your first row of your Colossus team, it would be Wood Seedler, whoever has a shield in terms of your healers, Wood Hana, and then also your Wet Artemis. That's going to be your first row. And then for the second row, you can feel free to throw in your Wet Miho, your Wood Hohenheim if you have one, which maybe you don't. You don't. So any other sapper that you have, I mean, that's pretty much it at this point. You can also bring in your Light Zephyros, actually, just to have some resistance down that could be applied to the Colossus. And then another healer and whatever sapper that you have left after that point. And that should be it for you. Mainly your first team, though, should be able to handle things if everything is good to go. But that's my suggestion for Water Colossus. I know it's kind of hard to see, but I will include everything in the video just to give you a better imagination of what's going on here. But that should clear it out. I mean, it's not a super speedy fight by any means, which is why I personally don't do it. But that should get you cleared out in Water Colossus. And if you're having issues, of course, make sure these mons are level 60. Make sure their gems are looking right, and you should be good to go with that. But yep, that concludes what you asked for Water Colossus. So let's go ahead and move on to Golems next. Alright, so we're back at Golems, and maybe you're running B9. This is why you have that team. I'm just going to go ahead and guess that you're running B9. But okay, that's perfectly fine. And you just have a whole bunch of HP leads, but that's not important here. What's important though is I'm going to go ahead and give you a solid B11 team. Now you asked for B12 plus teams, and honestly, even if you had the team to do it at this point in time, I just don't recommend it because number one, the amount of risk of running the higher level golems isn't worth the reward at this point in time when you can just run B11, which is the new B10 in my opinion. I could be wrong there, but there's people that run B15 and they're still like, yeah, I can run B15. It does take a little bit longer than B11, but is it worth it in the end? Not really. So I'm going to just give you what I know best, which is going to be a B11 team. So for your B11 team, I'm thinking Fire Jacket over here, obviously as the dedicated wave clearer. You also have a Wet Miho. This is going to be your sapper. I'm also including in your Wood Banshee, even though I know she's not properly built, because I looked at her gems, but if you can fix her gem situation, she should actually be pretty solid for you at this point in the game, because while technically not a wave clearer, you guys will have already seen the wave clearer tier list, and she is included up there, and she can be worth your money if properly built. And then for your last mon, I would recommend your Wet Artemis that you have in storage. So obviously you need to get her to level 60, make sure she's Evo 2, give her some trinkets, enhancements always help for all of your mons for B11. That's actually the first mons that I would work on enhancing after this video, just because getting your clear times down means more stable runs, and more stable runs equals faster runs because you got your clear time down, which equals more gems / more gold to go into your gems. So it's a win-win situation for everyone. But definitely get your Wet Artemis out there. You can run Wet Artemis on HP attack no problem, even at Evo 2. I mean, mine is on HP attack Valor at Evo 2 with some crit rate subs, and she does perfectly fine. I'm just trying to build up her raw damage. But that's my suggestion for B11. You could obviously drop Banshee and put in someone else if you have a stronger wave clear. But from what I could see at this point in time, there wasn't really anyone else that I would consider bringing that isn't a light or dark mon. And the issue with that is that if you bring a dark mon, obviously they're going to be targeted by not only the golem but any other light mons out there. And one suggestion though is you could actually bring in Light Suck instead of Wood Banshee if she doesn't work out. But I think Light Suck might slow you down just because there's a little bit loss of DPS and pretty much all the pressure is on Fire Draka. But if Fire Draka is built pretty pristine, it should do a lot of damage. But that's my suggestion for B11. Once again, I don't find the other ones worthwhile at this point in time until either they get a change or we get Golems B11. But let's go ahead and move on to the next segment. Alright, so we're over here at Tower of Chaos, which was another thing that you want to be looked at on your account here. And once again, you're running this complete fire team, which is weird, champ, because I maybe just like fire guys. I mean, they all look good, but I'm not sure what's going on here. But you need help clearing especially floor 110 and above. So for my suggestion for you to actually clear this out, it's pretty simple. What we're going to do here is we're going to be running Fire Draka. And then we're going to take advantage of some nice light mons that you have as well. And also, I forgot to mention that I didn't know that you had a Light Radis. You could replace your Wet Miho with Light Radis instead. And just use Light Radis and Wet Artemis for Golems B11. So pro gamer strat right there. But let's finish up this Tower of Chaos team. So we're going to run in with Light Suck, Light Yuki, and then maybe I've already passed them. And then Light Leo. This would be my suggestion for you for Tower of Chaos. That way you have Fire Draka as a wave clearer. Suck can not only do the heals but provide SP through the whole entire squad. Yuki is there to CC / do some damage. And then Light Leo is there perfectly just to CC. This should be a pretty solid team as long as everyone's gems are up to par. Obviously with enhancements and booked up if you haven't already considered that. But this should be a pretty solid team. Now, can you auto all the way up to floor 120? I'm not sure. Do I think you can? Yeah, it might take you a couple of tries on something, but this team should be perfectly fine, and I don't really see any issues with this team as long as everyone's set. There's also another mentionable character though that we could bring in here though, which would be your Light Zephyros. Now you could drop Fire Draka as a wave clearer if you're having trouble with like 110 or 115 or even 120, and go ahead and bring in Light Zephyros. That way you have a completely light team, and you can try and mitigate some damage away from these two guys, and hopefully they take it. But with Light Zephyros, not only does he have that wonderful crit rate lead, not saying that you have to use that, but having resistance down and shock can ensure that not only Light Leo's stun sticks, but also Light Yuki's shocks stick as well. So that's just another suggestion. You don't have to do that, but it's either the Fire Draka team or this team, and Tower of Chaos should be a walk in the park for you, dude. Like, that's it. You should have floor 120 like literally by the end of this video. So stay tuned. Alright, now we're back with some PvP action. We're going to be taking a look at your offense and your defensive team. Now I understand that PvP teams change. I don't change mine though, because once again, you guys know I'm just a casual. I do auto on PvP and that is it. That is it. But what you are rocking right here is a little bit of a kamikaze team, because Light Leo is there to stun, but the rest doesn't make sense to me. Like Dark Volby being here, I understand that she has exposed weakness, and then Gatito is a great damage dealer, but I'm pretty sure if you sneeze on your Gatito, he's going to die. He's literally going to die. And then Light Sea Star, why are you using these guys when you have just so many better mons? Like, what's going on here, dude? But for my suggestion for PvP is you actually have quite a bit of choices that you can rock with. You could literally run the same Tower of Chaos team that I had mentioned before, where you have Light Leo, Light Suck, and then also your Light Yuki. And I also noticed that you had a Dark Yuki. So not only do you have Light Suck to hopefully mitigate some damage away from Light Yuki and Light Leo, but with Dark Yuki, Once again, she's the only Dark Mon on the field, so she will be targeted. But if you build her tanky, you have an SP Siphoner, and you also have a Mon that can do Sap, which is pretty solid, especially considering that she's a Dark type as well. So any additional damage that you can give to her is pretty beneficial. But having an SP Siphoner at this day and age is pretty staple in PvP and helps you kind of control the battlefield a lot more as long as you properly use it. And if her SP bar gets full, especially from Light Suck, that's Sap for everyone, dude, which lowers their resistance, which should hopefully let Light Leo and Light Yuki get their CC moves to stick some more. So that would be my first suggestion for a team that you could use. The second one is you do have other options here, which was like you could run in with your Dark Wild Fang, your Dark Cupid, then your Dark Yuki, and then also your Light Suck once again, kind of changing the element to the opposite. So from focusing purely on the Dark Mon, we're focusing purely on the Light Mon in terms of if there's any other Dark Mons on the field that may target your Light Suck. So she will need to be pretty tanky, but the goal here is just to distract them with Light Suck until Dark Cupid can get his SP off and get shields up on everyone. Dark Wild Thing will be in there nuking, and then Dark Yuki will be in there making sure other mons can't get their 5-star skill off, and then when applicable, applying Sap to thus lower their resistance. I mean, once again, that's another suggestion that you can do. It's not something that you have to do, but if you want to try that one out, that should work pretty well for you. Another honorable mention though is that you do have a Shadow, even though I understand that he's not at Evo 3. In the future, if you wanted to build him, that's perfectly fine. You could always swap one of your guys out for Dark Shadow instead. I'm not saying that he's superior than Dark Yuki, but he could also serve you in Champions League. And with his Disconcernment lead, that's pretty spicy. That's pretty spicy, dude. Disconcernment is very, very OP. It makes a lot of, especially CC teams, a lot more viable. A lot more viable. So if you want to invest in him in the future and get him at Evo 3, maybe put him on a bruiser build, you could run in with Dark Shadow, Light Suck, and then Yuki and Light Leo, or you could run in with Dark Shadow, your Zephyros, and then Light Yuki and Light Leo. I mean, in game for you though, you might want to pick up a Light Griffin and pretty much be set with that as well. But I figured that I would mention Shadow as well because you do have him. It's something that you can consider. Not the end of the world, but you do have options, especially with Light Zephyros. But let's go ahead and move on to your defense team. So for your defense team, it's pretty much just an RGB mix, which is perfectly fine here. And then you have your not Light Wild Fang, but your Water Wild Fang hidden. That's kind of a weird champ. Why would you have her hidden? And why do you have an HP lead? What I would do, my suggestion here, even though I'm not a PvP expert at all, would go ahead and bring her in. Because especially with her lead, you have her nerfing some crit rate leads or mons with just naturally high crit anyways. So there's a chance that they're automatically going to do less to your entire squad, which is perfectly fine. I would also probably drop your Light Nike and maybe put in your Light Suck instead, because while Light Nike is an aggressor, you can easily either do defense down on her or just pretty much ignore her at this point, because she's not going to hit anywhere near as hard as Dark Sea Star would, because obviously of Dark Sea Star being a dark aggressor. But where's your Light Suck at? So we got Wild Fang, Light Suck. You could keep Water Persephone in there, it's really up to you. I'm not going to hate on you if you do so. Dark Sea Star can stay as well, but it really depends on her stats. But another thing that you could do is either drop your Dark Sea Star or Water Persephone, which I know she doesn't have any resist because I've seen her gems. And you could also run your Dark Luki. That's an in-between mix of Loki and Yuki, guys. Dark Luki. But you can run your Dark Yuki in here instead, and have a mon that not necessarily can CC, but a mon just to hopefully draw some attention away from your other mons, if that works out. And then my other suggestion was your Fire Wild Fang. Not Fire Wild Fang, your Fire Valk. I just saw it like a Wild Fang, and my mind was instantly like Fire Wild Fang. But your Fire Valk. That way you have not only tanky Water Wild Fang, You also have Light Suck supplying SP for everyone. Fire Valk has her own morale boost, which goes right into stun, and she's an RGB mon, so you have a mix of everything up in there, and it's going to be really, not really impossible, really tough, but it's going to be a slight deterrent from other teams just because, okay, who do I take down first? Do I take down Wild Fang before she gets her AoE off? Do I take down Light Suck before she gives everyone else SP or heals them? Do I take out Fire Valk before she does something? Like, you want to go in PvP thinking, how scummy can I be? How much of an F word can I be and annoy people? And having a team like this where the mons are tanky, the mons have a whole bunch of CC moves is a really, really great idea. Now for your hidden SP season, you could always do the tried and true, the newbie killer, which is hidden Fire Jacka. But if you wanted to change it for someone else, especially like your Light Leo, because he's not, thank goodness, he's not full on glass cannon, you could do it for SP season. But if it's not SP season, I would obviously just change it out and bring in either another aggressor or bring in a RGB CC mon. That would be my suggestion for you. But keep in mind, I'm not a PvP expert at all. This is just my personal suggestion. I could be wrong, and people could have better suggestions. And if you guys do, feel free to comment below and give us some more juicy intel. But I think this team would be pretty solid here. Obviously, Dark Sea Star you could change for Dark Yuki, but it's really up to you. Feel free to test it out and see if it deters people from your defense, if they go and fight your defense and get jaw rocked or not. And yeah, that is it. Also keep in mind you can just use the replay videos now and see who they're targeting first to find out your weakest link to go ahead and replace that weakest link. But alright you guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the video here. Once again, PBK, just taking 2 suggestions, all the things that I've told you so far, and I would really focus first on Golems B11 and then Tower of Chaos before you start diving into everything else. I also wanted to mention that I saw on your account that you do have some Titan mons for each element, basically. You do have a Light Wendigo as well, but you can throw him in anywhere. No real light and dark teams other than just throwing in the Sea Strikers that you have. But you could at least, at the very, very minimum, make 1 complete row of Fire, Water, and Wood Titan if you want, and hit them and do a little bit of damage there. Now, I'm not sure how interested you are in Titans. Maybe you don't really care about that, but that's just a literal another way to get some free gems out of the game weekly. So that's a suggestion that I wanted to bring up. And my last one, which is also very important for you guys out there, is the sets. Like his mons, they're on a lot of sets, which is nice to look at. It makes people happy seeing all of these sets on these mons. But there's one thing I wanted to make sure that you're keeping track of, is that regardless of what set your mon has on them, make sure you're not compromising like this Water Persephone. She literally has no resist. I'm not sure if you use her. She's at Evo 3 with 1 enhancement, so I'm assuming that you do because she's also on your defense team. But having a defensive mon on a defense team with no resist is literally asking for a free win. So do not, I repeat, do not compromise making a full set on a mon like this just to have a full set when at this point in time, I'm 99% sure you could pull out a broken set with near max resist like right now. 100% sure. So if you're going to rock sets, be prepared to put in the work to make sure that those sets are as good as they can be. Make sure you continuously update your gems so this doesn't be you. Well, so this won't be you when the time comes for an account review, or if you're having troubles keeping your rank in PvP or clearing out content, because yes, your mon is on a pretty set, and yes, I get that 20% HP bonus of having her on that set, but her dirt nasty low resist isn't going to help anyone. It isn't going to help anyone. But yeah, you guys, that's pretty much it. PBK, thank you for letting me take a sneak peek into your account, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.